honestly do believe that the best way to wealth and financial independence, but it's not for everybody, but is to have more entrepreneurs. I'm happy for people to ask me for a pay rise, but you need to tell me why. What have you brought to the business? I think what women maybe have historically been conditioned to be is quite modest, which doesn't serve us very well.
Hi and welcome to Accelerating Your Wealth with your host, myself, Rebecca Robertson. I'm an independent financial advisor and wealth coach. I'm the director of Evolution Financial Planning, who is also our sponsor for today's show. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share and review this episode. With your help, we'll reach more people who can benefit from the show. Quick one before we get back to it. If these conversations are landing for you, we've made something to help you go deeper. It's a short quiz. You answer a few questions and it tells you where to focus, then builds you a playlist of every relevant episode so you're not hunting through the whole back catalogue. Investing, divorce, business, there are 9 areas to land in. The link's below. Hey and welcome back to part 2. This is Women Investing, or Investing in Women, with Elizabeth Willetts, and we're here for part 2. We've been talking about basically Elizabeth's career from starting in recruitment all the way through to her book, which I have on my lap, which is called Flex, Smart Strategies to Build a Successful Career Around Your Life. And we've been talking about Elizabeth's career and the starting of her business, which is called Investing in Women. So we've talked about your career up to having your 2 children and then starting your business.
Yeah.
So talk to me about Investing in Women and what that's for and what's it about.
So that is a recruitment company, job board that helps people find flexible part-time home-based jobs that work around them and their lives.
So what made you go down that route when you started your business?
Yeah, because it became something I became quite passionate about. I was following people on like Instagram and social media, and I was like, yeah, what you're sort of saying makes sense, because I had felt I'd struggled to get my flexible working request through when I'd had my daughter. I had felt a bit gaslighted and ignored, and I thought, yeah, the system is just sort of set up against us. The childcare costs, are ridiculous. And I thought, it's not my fault. I think I'd felt before that it was my fault that I couldn't get back into work or work. And actually, it realised it wasn't my fault, but it took a bit of time to come to that realisation. And when I came to that realisation, I could see what had happened. A lot of my friends, particularly my best friend actually, she was a teacher. She'd done all her postgraduate qualifications. She'd had her children and she'd set up a business, and it had failed during COVID because it was a face-to-face business. So she'd ended up taking an admin job like you, minimum wage. And I thought, this is it, isn't it? This happens to women up and down the country, that they end up in, nothing wrong with an admin job, but a lot of these women are so much more qualified.
Yeah.
And they just end up sort of taking these roles. Like even my mum, I look back, she'd got a degree, she was as educated as my dad, and had worked as a teaching assistant on minimum wage for her
flexible
career.
Working, school holidays.
Yeah, exactly. But I felt that we were taking too many trade-offs.
Yeah. And so with the jobs that you're able to offer, do you think they're not just admin jobs?
No, they're not. We've had some brilliant jobs. We've had we've got legal and compliance associate there at the moment. We've got heads of tax roles, a lot of accounting roles, marketing roles, HR, recruitment.
A real range then.
Real range.
And
nice
what
roles.
are employers interested in this? Or do you think this is something you have to sell to them?
No, some employers are really interested in it, obviously, because a lot of my favourite employers a lot of the time are the smaller employers as well, because they are growing their businesses. They might not be able to afford full-time talent. They might not need full-time talent yet, but they want that resource. And so that's brilliant, because you're seeing them at a time of growth. And I love being that person that helps them get their first couple of hires, and then you see their business and the trajectory it then goes on, because that hire has made such a difference to their business, and they wouldn't have been able to necessarily afford that hire if that hire had been full-time.
Yeah.
And that's really, really rewarding for both, the candidate and the employer, and obviously for us. And then we get a lot of big corporates as well that recognise that they don't have many women in certain roles or across the business, and that's something that they want to address. And if you've got an ally in the business, then it's really good, because you can really enact quite a lot of change for that organisation and really make a difference.
And so what statistics do you see in terms of like job retention and company improvements when they're hiring these kind of women? Do you have any sort of statistics or anything around that?
Do you know what?
Out of interest, like I'm not expecting you to like recall them off the top of your head or anything.
Yeah, I mean, anecdotally, I know that women, when they do get flexible and part-time work, we know that they stay. And the reason that they stay is because there is so few flexible roles advertised externally. I think there was a stat that Timewise produced a couple of years ago that only 12% of roles advertised mention part-time or flexible working, and the actual statistics of people that want that roles is 80-90%. It's not just women actually that want flexible work.
No, my daughter's 18, and so we've just taken on some stables, and it's not a full-time, it's an everyday thing, but it's not a full-time thing. And so she was looking for other part-time work, and they're all bar work,
or cleaning
or something like that. She was working in a estate agency, and they're all sort of trainee, because she's 18, trainee estate agency kind of roles, and we're talking 8 in the morning till 6 at night, 6 days a week. And she doesn't want to work though. The kids don't, I say kids, she's 18, she's an adult, but the younger generation, they don't want to be doing that kind of hours. That's something we did, and we were used to it, and that's how things were. But people with online now, social media, Instagram, they have a different lifestyle. So she's going to be taking on an apprenticeship, which is a part-time apprenticeship, alongside running the stables. And so actually she's going to be having a career and have qualifications, but still having the stables as like, a bit more of a grounding without having to be, she doesn't want to be behind a desk all day, every day, on the phones all the time. That's just not her. So no, you're right. It's not just women stereotypically having children and they need to go part-time. So let's talk about the job market a little bit more.
We can talk about that.
So the big sort of elephant in the room at the moment is AI. And I'm hearing, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, that a lot of companies that are recruiting now aren't really recruiting sort of the lower level kind of admin jobs anymore. They are recruiting more sort of the senior management or middle management to manage the team that they do have and actually oversight AI to make them more efficient.
That's true.
Okay, so when we talk,
not many. Obviously, there's been a reduction in graduate jobs as well.
Right. Okay.
Which is interesting. I mean, obviously we're not. It's like, actually, does a degree pay anymore?
Interesting. Would
you
do
graduate jobs?
Would you encourage your kids to go and become a graduate? Go to uni?
I don't know. It's a lot, isn't it? It's a lot of money.
Yeah, and well, it depends on what they want
to do. I mean, obviously, if they want to become a doctor, they have to do a medical degree, don't they, or a dentist, or I mean, there are certain jobs that are there that do require a degree, so it depends what they want to do. But I'd say a lot of jobs probably don't require a degree. And actually, if that's the case, I know that looking at my career didn't require a degree. Therefore, I did have tuition fees, but they were like £1,000 a year when I went. They weren't really.
Wow, yeah.
You didn't really have to think about it. But would you go and pay £9,000 a year to study event management and then not use it?
Well, I have a lot of families that, clients of mine, and they're like, oh yeah, we're planning for Johnny to go to university. And it's not for me to judge, like that's how they want to spend their money. And that the child is very lucky that their parents are going to pay for that. And I think there's still this, I think as parents, we're bought into that ethos of, going to the best grammar school and going to get the best A levels and then going to university. And I can understand that as an 18-year-old who had a period of time where I didn't know what she was going to do. They don't know what they want to do. I can understand that because it gives them something to do, right?
And it gives them a way a bit of breathing room to space, doesn't it? You get 3 or 4 years actually before you have to make a decision what you want.
Yeah, and that is invaluable because they could quite easily slip through the gaps. So I completely understand that. But I don't really play into that narrative. Being somebody that comes from a working class family, I was brought up in a council house. My dad is, a very hard working man. He was a single parent. And I went to a state school, left school with 3 GCSEs, no A levels, went to college for a year. To be running a multi-6-figure financial services business is almost laughable. But I don't think that's what gets you on in life.
No, I don't think it does.
So I think you need to have that drive that you mentioned.
Yeah, you need the resilience. You need a bit of grit.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't think they teach you that at university.
No, I don't. I know some of my clients are like professors, and they teach, they're lecturers at universities, and all respect to them. And there's some real practical courses that are coming on now, which I think is really important. It'd be interesting to see how that for AI, how that plays out over the next 5 years. I get frustrated with school. My son's dyslexic, and it's like, why are you teaching him this? He's dyslexic. He won't understand it. His skills are building. Like, he'll be an architect, or he'll do something to do with building. I'm sure of it. He's a brilliant problem solver, and you're making him read a book about a frog and tell a story about it, which he will feel very difficult, won't be interested, and will find it really hard. When now I can go into Copilot, ChatGPT, Claude, whatever, and then get it to, I can literally tell it what I want it to do, and it can recreate it within not even a minute.
Seconds.
So what generation are we building from a primary school educationally for the job market?
But I don't think anyone knows what the job market's going to look like in 10 years.
I don't think we know what it's going to look like in 6 months.
Yeah, you're right. It's really hard, isn't it, when you've got kids? Because the only thing I would say is about having an 8 and 9-year-old. I feel bad saying this, but I'd be more worried if they were 18.
Really?
Yeah, because I kind of think surely it will have settled to some, a little bit in 10 years. So we'll at least recognise where jobs are and what those jobs are looking like. Whereas it's such a big transition at the moment. It's such a big unknown. We don't know, like you said, what the next 6 months, 2 years is going to look like. No. So I think in 10 years, at least we'll have an idea.
Yeah. But I think there'd be less opportunity, that lower level opportunity potentially.
That's why I do honestly think that the jobs that are going to do well are things that are face-to-face.
Yeah. Sales.
And that's what I want to say, sales. Yeah. Because I do think, obviously, you go into Tesco and you can do the self-service and things, but there is some form of consultative sales where you're not going to buy from a robot. No. Like with your financial, if you're wanting that, you want that human guidance. Even like your estate agent, you're probably still wanting to be guided through that process.
To a degree. It'd be less of those jobs around because that role will be made more efficient.
All the admin bit of it will go to AI, but you still want somebody to guide you through that most important purchase of your life.
I see so many articles now about like the top 5 jobs that won't be taken over by AI. Yeah. Do you know?
Well, it's like they'll say plumbing, won't they? Electrician, hairdressers. Yeah, things like that. I mean, who knows? They might make, I know that Elon Musk is tasked to get 1 million humanoids on the street in about 2030, and then he gets a crazy bonus. So then we might do, but I think they will be the last to go.
Yeah.
But anything like accountancy, legal, anything that requires a lot of processing and document.
Technical.
Yeah, that will go quite quickly because, I wouldn't recommend it, but I'm not a legal, but I've definitely used ChatGPT for legal advice and put accounts into ChatGPT and things like that. Yeah,
so my daughter, I think what we can do is my daughter's not gone to university, but an opportunity to take on a little stables yard has come up, and it's something that me and my daughter have always dreamed of. And when I was going to get another horse, I've always said I'd want my own like little space because yards are very political. And this way, by taking it on, she'd then take on some liveries and she'll earn some money from it. And as she pointed out, well, you can't have robots looking after horses. Yeah. So that's, but it's a real luxury to have a horse in the first place. Possibly, maybe less people will have horses, who knows? But the other side that what she's doing is mortgage advice. And so from a mortgage broker perspective, a lot of people will be able to go online, use a system, and they'll be able to put it into a computer, and that generation of people that are buying from even whether it's financial advice or mortgage advice, they will be used to going online.
It's like Amazon, aren't they? They're just so used to buying and then getting
click,
it there.
Click, it's done. Apps on the phone, banking, online banking on apps. But I think for financial advisors, we're probably okay for the next 10 or 15 years because you've got the 30, 40, 50-year-olds that will still got to retire. Yeah. So there'd be less of us because there's more financial advisors retiring and less people actually coming into the profession. But I wouldn't necessarily say it's a long-term career for, say, an 18-year-old because I don't know in 10, 20 years' time how much of that generation. So I'd be interested to see where mortgages go. But I think your estate agency possibly will still be
I think so.
around.
I'm not an expert, but like, you probably need someone to go show you the houses, don't you?
Like just from a viewing's
Yeah,
perspective.
from a viewing's
and they do that now.
perspective.
Like, so some estate agents, they have people just take on part-time flexible roles
Yeah,
just to do viewings.
Yeah.
Because otherwise they do like that 3D helicopter views, they do
Yeah.
videos inside, they give a lot of information like that first of all, and then they have people just go around and literally let them show them around. And then everyone else is in the office. But then look at, I think they even do that with it's one of the Zoopla or one of the online, where you don't actually have an estate agency office. It's all online in a head office, and they just have someone go around and show you around.
Yeah.
And so I think roles will start to change like that.
Yeah.
Companies will start to change like that.
And I think obviously if it's a high ticket item, you probably do want to be talked through a sales process, don't you? If it's
Well, I mean, for example, I've got a client at the moment. I'm doing a huge amount of complex work.
Yeah.
That involves way over £1 million.
Yeah.
It's over a 10 grand fee.
Yeah.
It's taken hours and hours and hours and hours of work. I'm saving him 400,000 or 500,000.
Yeah.
Pounds in terms of tax and things. So it's like value for money. And you're not going to buy that kind of thing by clicking a few buttons.
No.
So I mean, obviously we don't know, but how do you think this is going to change in terms of your role with investing in women? If you're somebody that is not sure what to do with their finances, maybe you're working and you're not sure what to do with the bonuses you've got at work, or maybe you started a business and you've got profits and you're not sure what you should be doing to enable you to A, pay yourself more, or B, potentially retire earlier. Maybe you're somebody that's thinking about, do I overpay on the mortgage? You've received some inheritance. You've got lots of questions around your finances and what to do next. Then check out Evolution Financial Planning, who are regulated independent financial advisors and financial planners that can help you make some of those big decisions in life.
Yeah, so we're going to start thinking like how we can help people upskill.
Okay.
So we do work with some providers at the moment that provide AI training.
Okay.
So I think that's something that's we're going to obviously do more of. With the job market contracting as well, I do believe that I honestly do believe that the best way to wealth and financial independence, but it's not for everybody, but is to have more entrepreneurs.
More business owners.
More business owners, because we are creating jobs, we're creating the economy, we've got more say in how things run as business owners.
Yeah.
We can actually create the environment, the jobs that we were probably missing in corporate. And I think probably more people will be forced in some form or other to be business owners.
Yeah, like more maybe
more contractors, freelancers.
Yeah.
And I think more employers will employ freelancers or agencies to do work alongside the AI that they've got in place.
So it's either you skip up a beat and go up to a more senior level kind of thing.
Yeah, but it's going to be hard.
But that's going to be hard also if you're hybrid or part-time, right? Because if you're managing a team, that's hard to do that part-time in some companies.
Yeah, in some companies. I mean, a lot of it is you're managing bots, aren't you? Probably do that wherever you are. But I think I do feel sorry for the people entering the job market at the moment, because it's how they get up there.
Yeah.
When there's less jobs and less opportunities to learn. And I think as well, like anything, but I think this is going to be maybe more unfair in that it's going to be a lot of your network, isn't it, as well?
So do you think that people should just be staying in the jobs that they can, and they shouldn't be like taking maternity leave or gaps? They shouldn't be asking for flexible work. Do you think they should just go back and take their full-time job right now?
No, I don't think that. But I do think that the market isn't brill. So I think it's quite risky to leave a job without anything else lined up, because we've all got bills to pay. But if you've, got a lot of financial responsibility, I'll speak to a lot of people like, I hate my job, I just want to leave. And I'm like, do you have anything else lined up?
No.
Nope. And I'm like, right.
Do you have savings? No.
Nope. Yeah. Or if you do you want to spend your savings? It's a really risky job market. And if you're an employer and you see someone that's left a job, you're going to be like, why have you left that job, particularly if you had nothing else to go to, or you can't explain. I don't see anything wrong with career breaks or anything like that at all. Particularly, if you're raising kids and things like that. But just a lot of people I speak to don't like their job, they want to leave, and then it's that's the drive. So it's like that's the driving force. So yeah, and that's risky. It's always much easier. You're in such a better position, a negotiating position, if you're in a job and then
I've been explaining this to my daughter.
find another
And the
job.
longer you're out and you're then looking, the worse it looks.
The worse it looks and the harder it is.
Yeah, and there's so many applicants.
There's so many applicants, and I think at the moment it's quite hard to make a pivot, a career pivot, because you are competing against people that have done your exact role.
So let's just say there's a woman listening who was like us.
Yeah.
Maybe they've been made redundant, they've had children, or you've at a point where they won't offer you flexible working, or you've decided that you don't want to go back full time.
Yeah.
What advice would you give them in the current job market?
I mean, it's the job. You can apply for jobs, so definitely apply for jobs. Obviously, get your CV tidied up. I think be realistic about what type of jobs. Like I said, it's really hard to make a career pivot. So I speak because I get a lot of wish lists from people, and there's like about 10 points on the wish list. Be clear that you probably are not going to get all 10 points. What are your most important 3? And actually, what can you offer the employer as well? I get a lot of, I want this, I want that, I want this, I want that, but nothing about I can offer this. So get really clear on what value you can give that employer, because it's a risk hiring at the moment. A lot of employers will feel it's a risk. So they want to hire somebody that they feel can add value to their business from day one. And if you're not articulating that, you're not going to get an interview.
Yeah.
So what value are you going to bring that employer?
I guess it goes back to like your history in terms of your career progression and what you've done in the past. Like, don't pivot to something else. But if you've been, I don't know, in recruitment, stay in recruitment. If you've been in health service, stay in health service. But there's always obviously lots of different kinds of different roles. I mean, do you think people could then go from maybe being a receptionist into an admin role, or into a manager role?
There's definitely, and there's stepping stones. I'm not saying you can't make a career pivot, but what I think is to make a big drastic career pivot from a cold application is very difficult.
Yeah.
You're much more likely to be able to make a career pivot through somebody you know, through an existing organisation. So if you go into a big company in a role you've already done, you're much more likely to get a different role within that large organisation. That is the beauty of a corporate, actually. That often you can have different roles within that same business.
More opportunities.
More opportunities without you having to leave. So that is the beauty of a corporate. But yeah, just be quite strategic about a career pivot if that's what you want, and recognise it's not probably going to happen in 6 months. It might be a 5-year plan.
So what could women be doing from a career progression if they're planning to have children in the future? What things could they be doing now for their career?
So the things that you could be doing now, I do think there is something to be said for climbing the ladder as high as you can get before kids, because a lot of organisations obviously offer enhanced maternity pay. You'll leave, if you've built up a reputation within your employer and your business, it's going to be so much easier to come back on terms that you want. You obviously get a higher mat pay when you are off. Yeah. So I do think there is something to be said for that. And actually, for anybody, what I have learned is it's your network. Don't burn bridges. Cultivate these relationships, because when I started investing in women, it was all those relationships that I'd spent, 10, 12, 13 years at that point building. They were my first advertisers on my job board. They're the ones that, would support all my posts. So I think it's your network. Actually, they do say your network is your net worth. And that to me is so true, because it's really powerful to be able to pick up the phone to somebody and say, can you help me with this?
Brilliant. So what, remind me, what jobs have you got on your job board at the moment?
So we've got, I'm trying to think what we've got. So we had a flurry of jobs. We've got a HR job. We've got a tax job. We've got this legal and compliance job. We've got a family solicitor role. We've got a marketing and content manager.
And they're all flexible or hybrid?
Yeah, they're all flexible, So part-time, hybrid, a lot of fully remote.
And your website is
investinginwomen.co.uk.
So if somebody wants to advertise on there, they can do. They just get in touch.
Yeah, just get in touch. Yeah.
And if somebody wants to apply on there, they can also go on there and they can look at the jobs and apply on there.
Yeah.
Amazing. So let's just finish up by talking about smart strategies to build a successful career around your life.
Yeah.
Called Flex by Elizabeth Willetts. So we've obviously talked about a lot today, but is there anything in here that you would say we haven't mentioned? I mean, looking at the top content for a second, there's an awful lot in here, and it looks extremely practical, which I really love, because I think some books are great because they sort of, get your brain going, get you thinking, but they don't necessarily actually give you the skill set to go and make change. So what do you want? What do you do when you want to switch careers? Where to look for jobs, career breaks, staying positive in life throws you a curveball, gender discrimination, writing a CV, cover letters, LinkedIn, offline networking, job interviewing, video job interviews, job offers, flexible working requests, handing in your notice, counter offers, making an impact at work, asking for a pay rise, getting paid what you deserve, starting your own business, and how to make it work. Is there anything that I've just mentioned in that list, which is 20 points, that we haven't covered today that you think actually let's step into that for a second?
I think it's what you want.
Okay.
I think that's the first bit, and that's what most people skip. They just end up in a job that like their parents think they should do. I'm talking like when you're quite young, or you don't. I don't think people do that work on themselves
to figure out actually
what they want and who they are and what they're good at. And I did a strengths-based test, and I've done a lot of personal development. I'm sure you have, since starting a business, and actually you learn a lot about yourself. And I think, how much more valuable would it have been if I'd have known a bit more about who I was when I was making those decisions at 18. And it's never too late to know who you are. But I think that's the really important thing, is to find out who you are, what your strengths are, and then lean into those.
Well, then you're not having to work as such as hard.
No.
Because you're actually doing something you're naturally
good at. So I think too many companies try and do these, what do they call it, annual reviews, and they roll around and they go, you could be better at this. And I always think, do you know what, sod that. That isn't me. I'm not good at that, and I'm never going to be good at that.
Never going to be good at that.
No, I'm not going to be good at that. I'm not worried about that. And I think this is obviously the beauty of being a business owner. You think, right, that's not me. I'm going to hire somebody that can do that.
100%.
And I'll do this bit that I'm quite good at.
Yeah, that's my life with my business. Yeah, definitely. One thing on here, which is chapter 18, asking for a pay rise and getting paid what you deserve. Let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah.
Because that's one subject we haven't stepped into. So how do people ask for a pay rise, especially in the current market?
You can obviously ask, but I think you need to have something to back it up with.
Yeah.
And you probably know this as well, being a business owner. I'm happy for people to ask me for a pay rise, but you need to tell me why. What have you brought to the business that therefore warrant that? Because it's tough for businesses at the moment. A lot of people think that businesses have this endless pot of money. We don't. No. But if you've brought in money to the business, or if you've done something that saved money, then I'd be delighted to give you a pay rise. But you need to justify it a bit. And I think that's with anybody. It's that value piece.
Yeah.
It's what value have you brought in the past to your previous employer, current employer, and therefore when you're showing them that value, then it's going to be much harder for them to say no.
Yeah, and you mentioned on here about doing your research, understanding market rates for your positioning, because within that industry and what the expectations are, and that makes your negotiation the best.
Exactly. So if you go, I brought in this much business, it's generated this much revenue, so this is what the industry that I'm working in pays, you're underpaying me, then it's going to be so much easier.
Timing is key, you've also mentioned.
Yeah.
Because obviously you're just about to go into an end of financial year, and they haven't got budgets for things, and it's not good timing. So I suppose do a bit of research within the company as to...
if they run a big business, then they've obviously got a bit more money, they might be more inclined to say yes.
Yeah, exactly. So is there anything to add on any of that, apart from, thanking you for your time? I really appreciate your time today. Right. I think we've had a super interesting conversation around career breaks, flexible working, why it's important, your own story around how that's impacted your life and your career. Is there anything now looking back that you wish you'd done differently, financially speaking?
Yeah, obviously I probably wish I'd not left the recruitment agency when I did do that meander around doing Colour Me Beautiful, because I just think I would have got so much higher
Yeah.
within that business. I'd actually got a lot of momentum at that point. I was doing really well. I was managing a big team.
Yeah.
I could have got to quite a senior position, and I sort of blew it. It's by stepping off that ladder at that
But
point.
you wouldn't be who you are today without it.
I wouldn't be who I am today, but yeah, if you look back, you think, yeah, I probably wouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And financially speaking, from a career perspective, and when it comes to like this pay gap,
Yeah.
is there like any sort of particular tips that you would give when it comes to approaching companies about the pay that women are getting because of that gap, or is it you get what you're given?
No, I don't think you get what you're given, and I think what women maybe have historically been conditioned to be is quite modest, which doesn't serve us very well when I'm talking about that, articulating the value.
Yeah.
Whereas men are a little bit more, I've done this, I've done that. And I think if we get a little bit better at that, it's not going to solve everything, but I think it'll help a bit.
Yeah, I think if we sort of accept what we're given, then they're just going to give what they can get away with.
Yeah.
Whereas you can articulate the value, then you're able to then say and demonstrate that.
Yeah.
And then you can then be more of a competitive edge.
Yeah.
I think maybe it comes back to that sort of sales piece that we was talking about in part
I think
one.
we've got to get comfortable selling because we're all selling ourselves.
Yeah.
But I do believe that organisations, honestly, I believe that the best way to retain women is to offer flexible work, particularly at a senior level, and open up, think about, why is the default always have to be Monday to Friday, 9 to 5? Because when we spoke earlier, my best work was in those funny pockets of time.
Yeah. Well, it's been an amazing conversation today. Thank you so much for joining me, Elizabeth. And if you're wanting to get in touch with Elizabeth, you'll see in the show notes, there's a link to her website. And obviously do connect with her across social media as well. And buy her book, Flex.
Yeah, thank you.
Where is it available?
Oh, it's everywhere. Amazon.
All of that.
I was going to say WH Smith, but that's gone now, hasn't it? Is it TJ Jones?
That's the one.
Yeah,
yes.
Waterstones.
All the places.
Local bookstops.
Lovely.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And do subscribe to the show and let me know what you think about today's show, and do listen out for the next one that's coming out very shortly. Thanks for listening. Cheers. Thank you for joining us today at Accelerating Your Wealth with your host, myself, Rebecca Robertson. I hope you enjoyed the show. Do subscribe and let us know in the comments any of your thoughts.